Hey everybody, and welcome to the Daniel Latto Podcast. Hope you're well today. So, what day is it? I don't know what day it is. Thursday. I keep thinking it's a Friday today, and it's clearly a Thursday. It's just got that Friday kind of feel. Anyway, today's topics. We've got quite a lot to talk about today, so we'll jump straight in if that's okay. Anyway, hope you guys are well. Thank you very much for listening. First up, energy prices set to increase to 40%. Set to rise by 40%. Like, that's on top of the other increases that they've already had, which is on top of the other increases which they've already had, which is on top of the other increases that they already had. And then when you compare how much the UK is paying in comparison to, well, let's give you an example. So we live in Spain, as you're probably aware, and our electricity bill has gone up a whopping nothing. Like, I don't know why, but we get our electricity bill, it comes through once a month, and I look at what the direct debit is, and I'm like, oh, it was the same as last month. Oh, it's the same as last month. Oh, and that's the same as last month. Now, it must have gone up. Maybe we've changed our consumption a little bit, but it's winter, for goodness sake. We've had the heating on. I guess we don't have air conditioning on because it's winter, but we don't really use a lot of that in summer either. We've got a swimming pool which uses electricity for the cleaning, but our bills haven't really gone up, and it just seems to be the UK for some reason kind of can't grasp the concept of keeping bills low for people who are struggling to afford. It's funny, this. It's almost as though the government or the people inside the government are relying on the energy companies to have massive profits. BP, 23 billion. They doubled their profit. Shell, 32 billion. Highest profit they've ever made. And I can't believe our government would do something like that, where they'd purposefully keep the energy bills up really high in order to financially gain personally. I can't imagine that would be such a thing, given the way that this current government and their empathy for the people at the bottom end. I can't imagine that's going to happen at all. I can't imagine that's the reason why at all. But look, what are you doing with your energy prices set to rise 40%? I was thinking about this because down here I've actually got a electric blanket which I'm sat on, and I'm wrapped around it. And honestly, it's one of the best investments I think I'll have made. I bought it in January this year. I think it'll be one of the best investments I've made this year. It cost like €75, so it wasn't a cheap one. Don't buy a cheap electric blanket. And then what popped into my head was warm the butt, not the room. I know it's supposed to be warm the person, not the room, but I thought I'd change that. Warm the butt. My butt is nice and warm sat here on my electric blanket. Hopefully it doesn't set me on fire. Very 1970s kind of thinking is that, isn't it, with electric blankets? But what are you doing about the energy price rise? Now, there's a couple of things I want to say on this. The first thing I want to say is that context here is everything. It's like, if you've lost 4 stone, like that sounds like a lot, right? If you lost 4 stone in weight, but if you're a 40 stone man, still 10% of your body weight, that's still pretty good, but you still got a long way to go. Whereas if I lost 4 stone, I would be ill, right? So the context is really important. So when we're talking about energy prices rising by 40%, I think context is really important here. One of my HMOs costs like £500 a month for gas and electricity. And if you think 40% on top of that is an extra, £220, that's actually quite a big increase. But really, an extra 220 quid, is that really going to send me under? Is it going to break the bank? And it's not really, not as a percentage of the total rental income. And so this is why context is really important. It's not the fact that energy prices are rising by 40% that you may or may not have a problem. It's the fact that you're not earning enough money elsewhere or in your business. Like if you were making £1 million a month, or 10 grand a month, or 100 grand a month, whatever that number is, instead of making the average of 2 grand a month, having an increase of £200 a month on your gas bills, if you're earning 10 to 50 to £100,000 a month, you'll be like, it's piffle, right? It really doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you at all. Now the key here is for you not to be in the poverty side or the skint side of life. And I believe that the only real way of getting out of that is through hard work. Now, you might say you're already working hard, and that may be so as well. But Are you working hard on the right things? Is your time management in place? Is your task management in place? Are you out making communication and networking with other people as much as possible so that you're optimizing your opportunities to make additional income? And then this momentum that you're then starting to get, how fast and how hard are you pushing this momentum to do more and more and more? So like in my business, our revenues went up 40% last year, and they're probably set to increase significantly again this year, which has its whole realm of problems, by the way. But the energy price rises are an issue if you've got no cash. Like, I can't really put it any blunter than that. If you've got no cash, that's actually the bigger issue here. It's not that energy prices are rising by 40%. And obviously, I'm talking about you personally. I'm talking about your personal financial network, which is basically you and maybe your husband or your wife or your mum and dad if you live with them, or your kids if you're like a whole family unit. That's the issue. It's not that price rises are going up. It's not that cars are more expensive and food's gone up and rent's gone up and houses have gone up. None of that is true. The issue comes back down to your own personal financial situation. And if energy prices rising by 40% is causing you stress, you shouldn't be focused on the energy prices rising. You can't do anything about that anyway. What are you going to do? Go to Russia and grab some oil, bring it back? There's not a lot you can do. But what you can do and what you should be focusing on is finding a way of making sure that you're going to make a lot more money. Now, we're going to talk about that a little bit later because I want to get into the digital marketing side hustle, which we've been pushing this year, which we'll talk about in a few moments. But the next up is, why does your government care? Like, what? First of all, let's put it into context here. What makes you think that the government cares? And why should they even care? Like, you're nothing to them. I'm nothing to them. In fact, the whole population is nothing, especially right now, to this self-serving, greedy government who all they want to do is lie, bullshit their way through things, like literally make personal gains, be racist, don't care if you're going to die and if you're in poverty and you can't afford heating. Like, they just don't care whatsoever, right? Now, I would actually argue that it's always been like that. We just called it different things. We called it a Labour government in the past. We called it a Thatcher government in the past. It's all the same stuff. And yet, for some reason, and maybe it's because I'm older and wiser, allegedly, but it just seems worse this time round, right? Do you know what I mean? Everything just seems worse. And I don't think things are worse. I think things are probably the same. I think the Tory party has been the same Tory party for the last 40 years. I don't think fundamentally anything's really shifted there. They don't care about you or me or the population. They care about what can they do to get more power, to make more money, to look after themselves. And really, that's, are you going to argue against that? Like, I don't think you can argue against that. Like, if I had an opportunity to make billions of pounds, if I was Michelle Mone, I had an opportunity to make 30 million quid and buy a yacht and fuck off to the Barbados, would I do that? God, dude, I'm on that flight. I'm gone. Are you right? You can write as much as you want in the Times and the Telegraph and the Sun and on Twitter. I ain't looking at that. I'm sat having a foot massage on the beach, drinking a mojito. I don't care. But for some reason, it just seems so much worse. Everything is magnified. And I think part of the problem here is the social media aspect. I don't think anything's changed in our government. We know that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. You give me absolute power, boy, I'm corrupting that motherfucker like you wouldn't believe. And so would you. Oh, no, not me, Dan. I wouldn't do that. Like, what's interesting, and I find this interesting, as I'm getting older and our wealth increases, or our ability or our access to resources to help other people, this is quite an interesting one that I've been keeping an eye on. Actually, we get nicer over time. We go out of our way to help more people. I actually spend, even though I'm incredibly busy, I'll actually spend more time trying to help more people rather than just focusing on my stuff. And so maybe absolute power doesn't corrupt absolutely. Maybe I'm special in some way. Some people would definitely say I'm special, and not in a nice way. But I think what we have to have here is this idea that let's just accept that the government is corrupt. Let's just accept that most people, when they get a lot of money or a lot of access to power, generally they're corrupt. Like, they can't even help it. Was it Douglas Adams who said, the very fact that someone craves power of the government is the very reason why they shouldn't be allowed it? 100% agree on that. I think we should just have a national lottery, gets pulled out of a bag, national lottery every 2 years. Oh, Dan, yeah, you're Chancellor for 2 years. What? Sorry, what? Yeah, you're Chancellor for 2 years. Oh, okay. And Ethel, who's in her 70s, ex-school teacher, you're in charge of education for 2 years. What? Yeah, we're going to just stick you in charge of education. Like, can it be any worse than it already is? I don't think so. But let's just accept the fact that the government doesn't care. And knowing that the government doesn't care, and if you need more evidence that the government doesn't care, I don't know where you've been for the last few years, but it doesn't. But I think we should just accept that and stop talking about it and just ignore it completely, basically. And just crack on with the things that you need to do. Because basically, ultimately, this is just a distraction. What's going on with Boris this week, or with 30 pence Lee Anderson this week, a horrid individual. Horrid man. Just a tremendously horrid person. Like cheating on Newsnight, was it? Faking a door knock when it's his mate. Oh yeah, you're going to vote for me? Oh, nice. And it was completely fake and made up, and saying people can live on 30 pence a day. It just beggars belief, right? But it's a distraction. That's all it ever is. That's all it ever will be. And today it's 30p Lee. And 2 years ago it was, who the hell was in charge 2 years ago? It was, what's her name? I can't even remember the woman's name. She was dreadful. She did the robot dance. Like, the fact that those words come out of my mouth when I'm talking about a prime minister is just bizarre. I can't remember her name. Anyway, it's irrelevant. It's all a distraction. The whole lot is a distraction. Get rid. Like, your social media channel should be a one-way channel, right? Should be putting content out and then responding to people, but not looking at... by the way, I'm a hypocrite, okay? But not looking at the news, not looking at what's going on with the government this week. Next week it'll be something else, and the next year it'll be something else, and the next decade it'll be just something else. But it's the same shit. Same shit, different day. Stop looking at that stuff. It's simply a distraction. And so, what else should you be doing then to make more money? Well, let's talk about getting a digital marketing side hustle. I was just looking at the numbers on our affiliate dashboard, and I think in November it's something like we had £582 worth of commission, which is not a huge amount of commission that we paid out. But in January we paid out, I think it was $1,550, something like that. So our money that we're paying out to people has tripled in just 2 months, which is awesome. And so we talk about getting a side hustle. And what are you going to do? One of the things I love about Gary Vaynerchuk, by the way, is that he still goes to car boot sales, buys sports cards or old computer games, and then he sells them out on eBay. Like, I don't know if he's the guy tapping eBay. He's owns a multi-million-pound business that does marketing for the likes of Pepsi. So I'm pretty sure it's not him doing the listings on eBay. But he goes to the car boot sales and he's looking for a side hustle and he's looking for ways of making money. And then I see other people's responses on Twitter and they're going, I made $1,000 this weekend doing just this. And I love that. And having this side hustle will do a couple of things for you. First of all, number one, it will resolve your energy cost issue. Because now if you're starting to make more money, that will resolve a lot of the problem for you. Number two is it will get you off the Twitter and social media, and it will get you off this idea of being distracted all the time. So I'm just going to share my second screen here. Here we go. So one of the reasons why you should be doing this, make money selling our digital marketing services. This is so cool, by the way. So you can sell Facebook ads, monthly digital content, sales funnels, graphic design, Google ads, email marketing, video editing, a full marketing team. Doesn't cost you anything to sign up. We are adding training into the Facebook group, and a little bit guilty that I need to do more of that. But the other bit is this bit right here. This is the bit that everybody wants to know. how much money do you make? So you get 20% on all initial sales. So like if you sell a website for 400 quid, you make 80 quid. And by the way, you're not selling a website. What you're doing is you're meeting someone who says, oh, I need a website. Do you know anyone? And you go, yes, speak to my mate Dan. Oh, have you got his number? Yeah, click this link and you send them your affiliate link and then schedule a strategy call with him. And then we do the rest. You don't have to do anything. This is the absolute beauty of it. In fact, we had a couple of website sales in February. In January. And then a big sale in January as well for our full marketing team. Our full marketing team's 1,250 quid. We'll just put that price up. The affiliate got paid £250. He got paid in 2 weeks. And he gets paid next month and the next month and the next month at 10% for any recurring payments. That's amazing. Like, and actually we've put 30 days following each client payment, you get paid directly. That's actually not true. We dropped that down to 14 days. So you actually get paid even faster now. So as an example, we're giving you the examples. Website's 80 quid. That's how much money you make. You don't even have to do anything. It's not even like you have to sell anything. Bring me back here. It's not even like you have to sell anything. All you got to do is, you need to speak to my mate Dan. That's it. Anyway, take a look at that. And then finally on today's podcast, why you shouldn't be using ChatGPT for search engine optimization purposes. We like to mix up the podcast a little bit and we talk about all sorts of things. And one of the things that we talk about is SEO, search engine optimization. Now, there's been a massive change in the last month or so with stuff coming out, which is what we're going to talk about. So search engine optimization, one of the downsides of SEO is that people come and go, oh yeah, I want to get on page one of Google. Like, to do that stuff takes a while, 6 to 12 months. It's not an easy thing to get done. It's going to take you some time. And so people are like, let's shortcut it. And we're like, okay, what are you going to do to shortcut it? Let's get some articles written, because content is king, as we know. And the more content you've got, we've actually just taken on a content writer this week, which I'm really happy about. And we're using them for my own website, which is even better. Usually I get, when we take someone on, I usually lose them fairly quickly because they go into the rest of the team and, you know, the cobbler's children has no shoes kind of thing. I never get to use them. But anyway, I've got them writing articles for me at the moment, which is really cool. But they're handwritten by a human. And so what happens is ChatGPT will write that article for you. Wonderful, right? Which is great until Google looks at that article and goes, hang on a minute. And this is Google, by the way, so it's not got mouth and ears. But Google's like, oh, that's AI content. And what happens when Google finds AI content on your website, it's going to put a black mark against your website. It's not going to like it at all. And this is why you shouldn't be using ChatGPT for SEO purposes. Now, there's a caveat to this. One of the caveats is that if you want some ideas on articles, headlines, then yeah, by all means, use ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT a bunch of questions. Give me 5 ways of 5 topics to talk about in property, and it will give you 5 topics. Then what you can do, now you've got the headlines, you go and write the topic number 1, topic number 2, but you're actually doing the writing, but the ideas can come from Google ChatGPT. You've got to be really careful on this. We're moving towards this crux point, right, at the top of the pyramid that says, when we reach this point, everything's going to be automated. Like, have you seen the Boston Dynamics robots and what they're capable of? Like, you fast forward this in 10 years, you're going to have AI connected to robots, and robots going to, you know, if I want a coffee, I'll go tell it to make me a coffee and it will bring me a coffee, right? We're going to be there in 10 years' time. And so we're reaching this point where this is going to happen. I always forget the name of it. It's a physics word and a technological crossover point. I can't remember what the word is. But we're reaching this point, and you've got to be really careful on this, because the only people who are going to want to read ChatGPT copy are other robots. Humans ain't going to want it, right? And you might go, yeah, but humans won't be able to tell the difference.